you were a food reporter in
Yes,
your
yes,
past life, which is fascinating. And then, as I mentioned in the intro, you did a TED talk on the bias in food reporting.
yes.
Talk to us about this bias and why it exists in the first place.
Oh my gosh. Well, for this TED Talk, I was looking at the top food magazine, the top food show, and the top food websites, and I found that the vast majority of them, over 90% of them, or 90% of the time, they were promoting recipes that contained meat and dairy. And it's just so
Wow.
ironic because people don't need an excuse. They don't need more motivation to eat these foods. We're all conditioned into thinking it's normal, natural, and necessary. We're all addicted to it. And it's just so sad that these, journalists, these food, I mean, I guess there are chefs, but these food journalists, they are sharing these recipes that are just not good for us on so many levels. And I feel like there needs to be a deeper journalistic responsibility. We need to look into the industries that we're supporting. And that's how it all kind of started for me. So I had my degree in broadcasting and I've always loved food. And so I became a food writer and a food reporter talking about, Vancouver's new restaurants on the news and whatnot. And, it started slow. Twitter was the main platform at the time. And I was just, totally chasing the buzzworthy headlines. I was kind of a bacon aficionado.
Oh,
Like anything bacon, I would share it. I was even featured on the news at the opening of a bacon restaurant in Vancouver.
what's a bacon restaurant?
Every single dish on the menu had bacon in it, and I was there. I
Oh
was
my God.
I was excited about it. I was on the news talking about how great this was. I didn't even really eat a lot of bacon, but I just knew it was so buzzworthy, and it would get the retweet. So I was sharing that kind of stuff. And so I was seeing my following grow, and the newspaper would post one of my columns, and the next day I would hear from dozens of people who had gone to try the steak sandwich. And so I realized that I knew nothing about the industries that I was supporting. Like I was a champion for the meat industry. The meat industry,
Yeah.
loved me back then. And so I realized I needed to know more about the industries. And so I kind of went down the wormhole and I started watching documentaries and reading books. And like you, I was just so horrified at what I discovered. My whole life I thought, everybody supports these industries. I'm sure they're fine. They must have a really great system. But just seeing this footage, I knew that there was no part of me that would ever want to contribute to them or fund them or have any part in supporting them. And I was thinking about the humans as well. Like I would never want to put a marginalized individual in the position to have to kill the animal. I mean, so many
Mhm.
reasons.
Mhm.
Um, and so I kind of gradually and silently made the switch, but I didn't really advertise this. I didn't I didn't make an announcement that I was going vegan or switching to focus on plants. I just kind of did it very gradually and nobody really noticed. So I started highlighting
Oh,
the vegetarian dishes and vegan dishes. And for a long time, I never really put a label on myself because it wasn't an overnight shift for me. In retrospect, I look back and I don't know how it wasn't kind of overnight, especially
yeah.
after watching a documentary like Earthlings. But I did grow up eating a lot of meat. And so I guess it took some time for that reason. Um, and at the same time, yes.
Well, it was just still really brave what you did because you're a food reporter, known for your bacon food reporting of all things. So
Yeah.
I think it was really smart to not make an announcement because they might have just, blacklisted you instantly. And it was,
Yes.
but were you apprehensive at all, or you just it was you knew it was the right thing and
I wasn't apprehensive, maybe because it was so gradual, but when there's something in you that knows that something is so wrong, and there is just 0% of you that would ever want to support these industries. And even like going further than that, I wanted to fight against it. I wanted to raise awareness. So I think that my journalism and my food writing online shares, it became my activism. So I do
Yeah.
consider myself an activist. You know, I don't put that on my bio, but I think there are all different kinds of activists. And I'm a bakedivist. And I do share,
I
you know,
love
some of
that.
the things that are happening to animals in my stories as well, like between the dinner stories, between the baking stories. Because I think that hopefully it's planting a seed, you know, in the minds of viewers, and hopefully they go down their own paths and journeys. I'm trying to inspire those journeys because I think, you know, it's very personal. Nobody wants to be forced.
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to plant those seeds, and I think it can start with food.
Mhm.
So that is definitely one of the main reasons behind the bakery to live for.